Most of us sing great old hymns and gospel songs, never knowing where that message came from in that song. Such is the case of that great song, It Is Well With My Soul. Horatio Spafford and his wife Anna lived in Chicago in the 1800s. They had 5 children, and they were not strangers to adversity. In 1871, they lost their only son to pneumonia. Later that year, Mr. Spafford, who was a successful businessman and an attorney, lost most everything he had in the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. The whole city burned down, and he lost nearly everything he had. Just 2 years later, Horatio and Anna had planned a trip to Europe, and at the last minute, Mr. Spafford had to stay in Chicago because of a real estate deal. So his wife Anna and his 4 daughters boarded the ocean liner, the Ville du Havre, which was to cross the Atlantic from New York City to Europe. As they were on this journey, the ship they were on ran into an iron-hulled Scottish ship and sank within 12 minutes. There were 313 passengers on board. 226 of them lost their lives, including Mr. and Mrs. Spafford's 4 daughters. A sailor on a ship saw Mrs. Spafford floating unconscious on the ship's wreckage. She was pulled to safety, and a larger vessel carried her to Cardiff, Wales. When she arrived 9 days later, she sent a wire to her husband that read, "Saved alone, what shall I do?" Mr. Spafford, broken-hearted, booked passage on the next ship out of New York City to join his grieving wife. 4 days into the journey, the captain called Horatio into his cabin and said, "This is the spot where the ship went down and where you lost your 4 daughters." During this trip, Horatio Spafford wrote the beautiful song, "It Is Well With My Soul." When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. Friends, in this life we go through a lot of adversity, a lot of pain, and a lot of sorrow. And I don't know how it's humanly possible, after going through something like this, a person can say, "It is well with my soul," unless they know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Because in the end, those who know Jesus are going to spend eternity in heaven and be reunited with family members who also knew the Lord. Can you say, my friend, "It is well with my soul"? If you can't, I encourage you to give your life to Jesus Christ today. And no matter what the circumstances are that you may face, no matter what pain, sorrow that your body or your mind may go through, you can be like Horatio Spafford and say, "It is well with my soul."